Hi friends, today we are going to see the past year NEET questions for the chapter Plant Kingdom, and today in this video we will cover part 3. So those who haven't gone through part 1 and part 2, please go have a look, since this will help you in the continuity of the chapter. Okay, now let's begin with the first question. This question was asked in the year 2017. Okay, zygotic meiosis is a characteristic of dash. Right, you're given 4 options here, so you have to understand one thing here is zygotic meiosis will happen in a haplonautic life cycle. Haplonautic life cycle, out of the 4 organisms, it is seen in Chlamydomonas. Therefore the correct answer is Chlamydomonas. Now Chlamydomonas is a genus, is supposed to, it belongs to the genus green algae, and it shows haplonautic sexual life cycle with multicellular haploid stage. Okay, multicellular haploid stage. Another important feature, so what happens here exactly, if you see, they perform zygotic meiosis, that is the diploid zygote will divide itself meiotically and it will produce the multicellular haploid stage. So that is the right process that happens here in zygotic meiosis. Okay, therefore the correct answer to this question is option C, Chlamydomonas. Chlamydomonas has haplonautic life cycle, hence it shows zygotic meiosis. To your right side you can see the clear view of the microscopic image of Chlamydomonas. So this is how it will be, right? Now let's move to the next question. Now look at this question here, again 2017. Life cycle of Ectocarpus and Fucus respectively. Okay, we all know Fucus shows diplonautic life cycle. So what does Ectocarpus do then? Ectocarpus shows haplodiplonautic cycle. So that is another important feature about this organism, haplodiplonautic. Now you can ask me, what is the meaning of haplodiplonautic? It shows it is an intermediate between both haploid and diploid. Okay, life cycle of Ectocarpus and Fucus is haplodiplonautic and diplonautic, which is intermediate between haplonautic and diplonautic. I'm telling you the meaning of haplodiplonautic. In this, both the haplonautic and the diplonautic are free living and multicellular stage. So you all know in diplonautic cycle the diploid saprophyte will be dominant, but if you take haplodiplonautic, both the haploid and the diploid will be in the dominant stage. That is the only difference between haplodiplonautic and diplonautic. Therefore the correct answer to this question is option B. So to your right side you can see the image of haplodiplonautic cycle here. Okay, here both the saprophytes are dominant and diplonautic, only the diploid stage will be dominant. Okay, now let's move to the next question here. Now look at this question here. Which one of the following is a wrong statement? It was asked in the year 2015. Let's go one option by option. Mucor has biflagellate zoospores. Mucor. Okay, let's go to the next question. Haploid endosperm is typical feature of gymnosperms. This is a right option. Brown algae has chlorophyll A and C. Yes, brown algae has chlorophyll A and C. Argonia are found in Bryophyta, Pteridophyta and gymnosperms. This is also right. So we are confused with Mucor. Mucor has biflagellate zoospores, they have mentioned, but actually Mucor is non-motile. Okay, it is non-motile in nature. It does not produce any zoospores. The zoospores are in motile actually. Therefore, the correct answer to this question, which statement is wrong, if you see option A, Mucor has biflagellate zoospores, because they are non-motile. Okay, Mucor spores are non-motile. Therefore, option A is the right answer. Now to your right side, if you see, you can see the image of different forms of flagellae. Right, now if you take monotrichous, different forms you can say. It is monotrichous, so you have a single flagella. When I say lophotrichous, it is in one end but you have many flagella. Peritrichous, you have flagella all over the body. And when I say amphitrichous, it is in the 2 ends. So this is a different form of flagella system that is present in different organism. Okay, now let's move to the next question. Okay, now look at this question here. This was asked in the year 2014. Okay, which one of the following is responsible for peat formation? What do you mean by peat? You must have heard about this peat moss. Peat people, those who do gardening, will know much about it. See, this peat moss is one particular thing that can retain water for a long time. You can also call it as a storage system of water. Okay, peat also is known as, it is also known as turf. It is also known as turf. Okay, peat is also known as turf, and it is an accumulation of partially decayed vegetation or organic matter over their surface, which helps to keep the place damp, and therefore it will store more water. So the important peat moss is sphagnum. Okay, this is a peat moss which is commonly used to store water because it has that capacity to retain that water. It will not allow the water to get evaporated also. Okay, now funaria, if you see, it is a moss. Funaria is a moss. Okay, mercantia, you know, it's a liverwort. And what is Rika? It's again a liverwort. Okay, therefore the correct answer to this question is sphagnum, which is actually a peat. So they commercially sell this peat for gardening purpose, because some drought areas or when there is scarcity of water, you can apply this peat moss over the surface of the plant and you can pour in water, and the water will stay for a longer time, which will help in the refreshing moment of the plant. Okay, so the correct answer to this question is sphagnum. Okay, fine. Now let's move to the next question here. Which one of the following is common to multicellular fungi, filamentous algae, and Proteinema of mosses? They are talking about three here. Three things, three different things. See, we'll go one option by option. Diplonotic life cycle, no. One will show diplonotic, one is haplonotic, so no. Members of the kingdom Plantae, no, because fungi and algae, they belong to microorganism group. Mosses belongs to plants. No, it cannot be, so that is not common in them. Mode of nutrition, again it is not common. Fungi is heterotrophic, algae is autotrophic, so this also doesn't go. So the leftover one is multiplication by fragmentation, and yes, that is the right answer. Okay, these all are multicellular organisms and they show asexual reproduction in which organisms split into fragments. Okay, they all split into fragments, and they will, when they have split into fragments, they will all grow into new individuals resembling their own parents. So if you clearly see an image here, when they are cut into fragments and when they are planted, they all grow into a new individual resembling their parent. Therefore the correct answer to this question is multiplication by fragmentation, option D. Now next question. See, these questions are quite rarely asked in your question paper. They will give you a diagram and you need to mark in the parts. Okay, so here you have a figure which has 4 parts and you need to name the parts correctly. So what do you think will be A, B, C and D? The correct answer is option A. So the part A is argoniophore, B is female thallus, C is the gemma cup, and D is, you all know, these are rhizoids which act as root system. Okay, these questions you can expect sometimes, so it is always important that you go through the figures that are there in your books. Okay, now let's move to the next question here. See, look at this question, was asked in the year 2011. Argoniophore is present in. So in the previous figure we saw what an argoniophore is. To explain about it, argoniophore is also called as stalk. Okay, it is also called as stalk. Okay, it is the outgrowth of prothallium. Okay, what do you call this argoniophore as? Outgrowth of prothallium, upon which the argonia are born. So what is argonia? That is the female sex organ. So what is argoniophore? That is the outgrowth of the prothallium. And what do they contain? They contain the argonia, which is called the female sex organ. Now you understand what does argoniophore mean? So this characteristic is present in which organism? The correct answer is Mercantia, because Mercantia has a special feature which you can easily identify which belongs to, which has argoniophore. Rhizoids. With the help of that you can easily identify which has argoniophore. Therefore the correct answer is A, Mercantia. Okay, so here they have clearly mentioned its neck region is made up to 4 to 6 vertical rows. If you clearly view it under the microscope, you can see it. Okay, now let's move to the next question. This question again 2010. Let's read it. Some hyperthermophilic organisms that grow in highly acidic medium, acidic pH habitats belong to which group? Coming to the solution, now if you see cyanobacteria, diatoms, mosses, liverworts, yeast, they are all the normal bacteria, I mean the normal growing organisms, algae, plants, bacteria. But these three, if you see, they will grow in normal environment, a normal temperature. Hyperthermophilic is extreme conditions where either you'll find hot temperatures or low temperatures, or the medium is said to be highly acidic or it highly basic, whatever. So this particular eubacteria and archaea have the capacity to withstand their pH of acid medium. They can even withstand to such a level is because of their presence of cell wall. Now you can ask me, what does the cell wall of these organisms contain? Why is it so special for them to withstand that particular atmosphere? So mostly if you see eubacteria and archaea, they have a cell wall that is made up of highly saturated fatty acids. Okay, they are made up of fatty acids. Their cell wall is highly strong that they will not be breakable. Okay, even at that pH they are not breakable. Sometimes if you see, they get misplaced, their shape will get distorted, it seems. If you read a lot about these microorganisms, you will see that certain temperature or pH, these microorganisms get distorted in their shape. But an important feature about this is they can even retain their shape when they get to the normal pattern, it seems. So that is one more specific thing about these hyperthermophilic organisms. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is archaea and bacteria. To your right side, you can see the image of cold temperatures, hot temperatures. There are microorganisms who can survive even at these conditions. They are called as extremophiles or hyperthermophiles. The correct answer to this question is option A. Now let's move to the next question here. Spore dissemination in some liverworts is aided by. So what helps in spore dissemination? What do you mean by spore dissemination? This question was asked in the 2007. What do you mean by spore dissemination? Dispersal of the spores. Sometimes certain organisms undergo favorable, unfavorable conditions, and sometimes they even use mediums for their spores to get dispersed, and thereby they help in reproduction. But this situation, if you see, does not happen every time. Okay, it will be only required during that reproduction time. Okay, they require certain media for them to transport, and thereby they will form new individuals. So this spore dissemination in liverwort, if you see, it is carried out by something special called elaters. So what are elaters? Can anybody make a guess? See, elaters are elongated, spirally thickened, water attracting cell in the capsule of the liverwort. Okay, this spore dissemination can be carried out by as we already saw, by air. Okay, I'm sorry, by air, water, even certain animals, they help in spore dissemination. But this elater is something which is in water. Okay, they are objects. When they encounter a favorable condition, they germinate and reproduce. They will be carried by the water, and when they find a favorable condition, they will reproduce, otherwise they are going to remain intact. Elater is an elongated, spirally thickened, water attracting cell in the capsule of the liverwort. So that will help in the spore dissemination. That is one thing which is specific and thereby helps in the generations of the organism. Okay, now if you can ask me, what do the other options stand for? Right, now peristome teeth, they are actually found in the capsule of a moss. Okay, then you have something called indusium, alpetra. So these are all different features that are present in different organisms which help in their spore dispersal. Okay, therefore the correct answer to this question is option D, elaters. Okay, now let's move to the next question. This question was asked in the year 2006. Let's read it. In a moss, the saprophyte is dash. When I say saprophyte, it is understood it is dependent upon the dead, or it can be dependent on other organisms. So the correct, as it is clearly said, it is saprophyte. You all would have guessed. The correct answer is option D, partially parasitic on the gametophyte. Right? Partially parasitic on the gametophyte. Why is it like that? Since it's a saprophyte, it will be dependent on the other organism for its survival. Okay, the reason why is it like that, if you see, in a moss, the main plant body is gametophyte, while saprophyte is meant for spore dispersal. It is not dependent on the other organism for food, but it is dependent for spore dispersal. It requires a medium to disperse the spores, and thereby it helps to reproduce its new individuals. So that is why in moss, the saprophyte, it is totally dependent on gametophyte. Okay. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option D. So to your right side, you can see the moss growth. Okay, this is how it will be. Okay, now let's move to the next question here. This is a very easy question. People, those who have seen it earlier, would have known the answer. Peat moss is used for packing material for seeding flowers or live plants to distant places because, again, this question was asked in the year 2006. We all know peat moss has a capacity to retain water, right? We all agree with that. It can retain water. So the correct answer is hygroscopic. See, when we have to transport certain live plants to distant places and to many other long distances, we need some medium which make the flowers remain fresh for longer hours. So peat mosses are packed along with the plants so that they can retain water for a long time and keep the flowers fresh till they meet the delivery time. So this is commonly used. As I already said, they are commercially sold also. Okay, so that is what they have given in the explanation part also. So the correct answer is option A. Fine. Now let's move to the next question. Which one of the following propagates to the leaf tip? Right? Which one propagates to the leaf tip? Now you know moss very well. They do not have leaf-like system. They actually cover the surface while they grow. Mercantia, sprouse, leaf plant, no, they do not propagate at all. The correct answer is walking fern. What is a fern actually? What does a fern do? Or how does a fern look? Have you ever thought about it? Okay. The walking fern is frequently occurring fern of the native North America. Usually you find these ferns mostly in North America native, and in mosses vegetative propagation occurs by fragmentation. Mercantia is a liverwort. Again, it doesn't go. Mosses is by fragmentation. Walking fern, that is datum. So they have given an example here of a walking fern, that is datum. This is the commonly seen walking fern in many areas. Okay, so here if you see, they propagate through the leaf tip. Ferns are usually plants which do not bear any seeds or fruits or flowers. They don't bear at all. Okay, they are just green plants that grow over areas, and this walking fern has a nature to propagate through the leaf tip. To your right side, you can see the image of the walking fern. Okay, so the correct answer is option A, walking fern. Now let's move to the next question. This question was asked in year 2003. Let's read it here. Sexual reproduction in Spirogyra is an advanced feature because it shows. What does it show? Okay. So here you're given 4 options here. Physiologically differentiated sex organs, different sizes of motile sex organ, same size of motile sex organ, morphologically different sex organ. The correct answer to this question is option A, physiologically differentiated sex organ. So this Spirogyra, we've already spoke about it a lot in the earlier parts. It undergoes It undergoes isogamy or anisogamy? It undergoes anisogamy. Okay, physiologically differentiated means it is anisogamy. Sexual reproduction in Spirogyra occurs by conjugation. Another important feature, it undergoes by conjugation. When I say iso, they are fusion of gametes which are morphologically and physiologically same. When I say iso, aniso means they'll be physiologically differentiated sex organs. So the correct answer for Spirogyra sexual reproduction is option A, physiologically differentiated sex organs. Okay, now let's move to the next question. This question was asked in the year 1999. The anthrozoids of Funaria are dash. I think all of you would have guessed the answer by now because they have talked about cilia, because cilia is not found in Funaria fungi. It is found in the organism like Paramecium. You'll find cilia all over the body. They are talking about monociliated single cilia, aciliated no cilia, multiciliated cilia all over the body. So the correct answer to this question is flagellated. Okay, anthrozoids of Funaria, they bear two flagella at anterior and they are spirally coiled. See, these kind of questions, it is very easy for you to identify the answer. You only need a little logic because out of the 4 options here, they have given all the 3 options to be ciliated. The only option different from this is flagellated. So the correct answer goes to option B, flagellated. Now let's move to the next question. This question was again asked in the year 1999. Bryophytes comprise of? A very simple question in fact. The answer to this question, any guesses? Bryophytes, they require an external source for their spore dispersal, and so therefore the correct answer goes for saprophyte. Okay, you've got a clue now. There is saprophyte in it. So what would be the answer now? The correct answer is option D. It's a small sporophyte phase and generally parasitic on gametophyte. Okay, these options we've already spoke a lot in the earlier parts. Okay. Okay, now let's move to the next question. Okay, with this we complete part 3. We will all meet in the next video, which will be part 4. Thank you.